We cannot understand the tornado chase of April 4th if we don't go back to March 31st. March 31st was the most heartbreaking chase of my career. You have a high-risk area in the upper Midwest. You know tornadoes are probably going to be ripping up the countryside. We talk about bad omens, the things that happen and put a red flag up saying, maybe this isn't going to work out. Well, March 31st was a prime example. Starting out at first glance with the SPC Outlook, the same afternoon I find a gas tank strap hanging loose off the chase car. I get a brand new tank strap, 2 of them overnighted to the apartment, but there's no time to install them before the chase. I'm not driving to Illinois or Iowa with a loose tank strap, so the main chase car is out of service. I'm working graveyard in this time frame, so the next afternoon I get all the equipment transferred over into the backup. I get cut open, a GoPro mount snaps in half, and all the wiring had to be basically uprooted from the car because it was a pretty rugged setup. By this point, I can see things are stacking up against the chase day. That feeling like maybe this just isn't going to work out. On top of that, the backup needs an oil change, and I end up with the wrong oil filter from the store. But regardless of all that, there's still a chase to plan for. When you look back at the messages ahead of this event, I had it dialed in. In fact, there's one particular message detailing Winterset, Iowa, which previously had an EF4, and basically I said we could be in for a replay of that, but further east or northeast. When you look at a map of the 2 events, here's Winterset, and here's Keota. The chase starts off late because I either forgot to set an alarm or I slept through it. The red flags were so obvious at the time, but you try to ignore that and press on, hoping that maybe the challenges you face will reward you. There'd been a lot of talk about early initiation, and even though I'm running late, I still have a shot if everything goes all right. But March 31st is proving that almost nothing will go right. Next thing I know, I'm in New Sharon, Iowa. My chase partner and I have been messaging back and forth after I got stuck on gravel side roads trying to get around construction in Cedar Rapids. It'd been several hours since I picked a target near the town of Delta, Iowa. But, for whatever reason, I made a right turn instead of a left at New Sharon and started going after some storms that popped off to my northwest. As things started to get underway, our communications decreased. We both seemed to have something going on, and so I started tracking these storms. I figured my chase partner was waiting out in the open for something that may or may not happen while I was getting a jump on the action. Severe thunderstorm warnings were being issued, and I knew if I kept around long enough, something would probably happen. I chased the lead storm for a while, and it remained severe warned, but didn't really do much. The second storm in line was looking more promising, and I went southwest to catch it. Finally, I felt like I was on the offensive. The chase is on, and there's some promising structure as I head back east. I hadn't heard from my chase partner for quite a while, so I figured it was a bust where he's set up. The storms are showing rotation on radar, and things are heating up. So I haven't heard from my chase partner for a while, And this is the picture I get. I think initially I was somewhat in disbelief, and then when I accepted what was going on, which took several minutes, I knew I had to get east. During this process, I took a wrong turn into a town where the road just ended and I had to go back northwest. I hydroplaned and went off-road. I even ran over debris from the same EF4 tornado that my partner was chasing. And it was off ahead of me somewhere in the rain. I couldn't see it. And I was trying to ask him where this next town was, and he didn't know where that was, but the tornado was still on the ground, and I was behind it somewhere, and I knew it was going to be bad. Somebody slammed their brakes in front of me as they drove over a piece of sheet metal, and I think when I almost rear-ended him, I kind of noticed this is a loss. It's time to fight another day. And so at that point, I decided that we had a celebration, and that was my partner's first tornado.
Well, this guy here was able to catch a big tornado today. Just want to say congrats to him. First documented tornado. And it was a monster. Actually, correction, 2 tornadoes.
I followed him for a little while, because there was still a couple storms going on, but things started to slow down for the night, and then we decided to go to one of our normal restaurants afterwards and look at the pictures and celebrate. And I just had that sick feeling in my stomach, but I was also so glad for my partner to finally get his first tornado, because we started chasing, would have been 9 years before that together. So this was a big time event, a lifetime tornado for sure. I did the best with it as I could, and then later learned that a tornado hit I think it was a concert or something, and there was a building collapse and a bunch of people got hurt, and there was ambulances going through in Rockford. I think we were like crazy, and that was like mutual cold water, I think. To say March 31st was emotional would be an understatement. But coming out of this bitter experience was a hunger for tornadoes that I'd never felt before. My cousin, who was at work watching all of this unfold on the 31st, offered to come down and chase with me on April 4th. I think it was partially because my chase partner had just seen a monstrous tornado, and maybe a little bit because I was going through some kind of short-term trauma from everything that happened. And we got together at 5 in the morning on the 4th, and we started driving. And right from the start, it was a no-holds-barred day. Come hell or high water, no matter the distance, we were going to see a tornado. And by God, it happened.
Let's go to the
we're in a bad zone. She's chasing us right now.
I'm going.
She's chasing us. I can't tell.
That guy better get out of there. Can you see it back there?
I cannot, but it's just a cluster of rain wrap.
But that wouldn't be the storm's only tornado. Lewistown, Illinois, was in the crosshairs of another. And then after our two tornadoes, it was just a terrific lightning show going over to I-55. Went home that night and I was on top of the world. I felt so refreshed, so redeemed. And then to top it all off, the very next chase, it was next February, caught the first ever February tornado in Wisconsin. Tornado here real soon. I believe we have debris. We got a tornado on the ground.
P.M. Central Standard Time.
Oh, yep. Debris. Tornado.